Welcome, Fishkill residents, to the 2023 Town of Fishkill State of the Town at my home in Fishkill, New York. I'm Albra, the Town Supervisor, and I'd like to reintroduce myself to the residents. Over the last 4 years, we've seen many people come into the town, so I'd like to just give you a little update who I am. I'm married for over 20 years, and I have 4 kids. I grew up locally in Beacon and graduated Beacon High School in 1984. I served in the United States Army honorably. I'm a long-time resident of Fishkill. I moved here in 1997. And I take pride in our community ever since. I began attending town board meetings as an engaged citizen back in 2002. By the time I was elected supervisor, I had already been to more than 400 town board meetings. It turned out to be very helpful as I learned a lot about the role of the town supervisor by attending these meetings. I'd like to give the new residents a little opportunity to find out the history of the town of Fishkill. Fishkill belonged to the Wappinger people, and it was purchased by the Dutch and eventually settled by the English. Fishkill is a proud constitutional town. By that I am referring to the New York State Constitution, which was printed right here in Fishkill in 1777. Everyone watching this joins me in reaffirming our commitment to the U.S. Constitution and our state constitution as well. Fishkill is also a historical community rich with many sites of interest. We have the First Reformed Church, the Trinity Church, we have the Van Wyck Homestead, the Fishkill Supply Depot, we have the Underground Railroad, the Mount Goulian Historical Site, the Roundabout Rural Cemetery, and many, many more points of historical importance. This history is a source of great community pride and something that the town has worked hard in recent years to preserve and promote. The history of the town government is something that people should know. They ask me, what is a town supervisor? The town supervisor is basically the person that runs the day-to-day operations in the town of Fishkill. We have 4 council persons. We have Louise Danielli, John Foreman, Carmine Estevan, and Brian Rye. I have a privilege of serving with them and former council persons Jackie Bardini, Ori Brackfeld, Joe Bono, and Kenya Gadsden. My town clerk, Becky Tompkins, has been great. She is an extreme asset. Finally, after a run of 60 years, our town highway superintendent, Glenn Schofield Sr., will be retiring. And his public service is unparalleled. I thank you, Mr. Schofield, for your service to the citizens of the town of Fishkill. He will be replaced by Carmine Estevan, and I wish Carmine the best in that role. Town Justices Harold Epstein and Rob Abrahamba, they both will be retiring this year. So next year you'll be getting 2 brand new town justices for the first time in a long time. One of the first things I decided to do when I was elected was to pass a term limit law. The town council persons and the town supervisor can only serve 2 4-year terms, whether it's consecutive or separate, for a total of 8 years. Less than 15 towns in New York State out of 900 have term limits, and I think it's the most important thing to do. It stops career politicians, it ends nepotism, and encourages fresh ideas and citizen participation. This law needs to be done at the state and at the national level as well. I'd like you to know how I feel about local government and how it should be run. Before I took office, this town for decades were run by the developers for the developers. Our town resources were spent to accommodate developers. My policy is to take the power away from the developers and return it to you, the citizens of the town of Fishkill. I invest our resources into the community to improve our services and enhance your quality of life. You'll see that approach in action as I talk to you about the things that the town has done under my leadership. I'd like to give you all a general overview of our town, starting with Town Hall. Town Hall is a central office space and contains most of the town departments. When you enter our Town Hall lobby, the first thing you will see is our courtroom and our Justice Court offices. These offices are staffed by our dedicated court clerks who can assist you with responding to tickets, paying fines, and answering questions related to town court. As you move through the lobby in the main Town Hall area, you'll see the office of the town clerk and tax receiver. The clerk is the busiest person in Town Hall and provides countless services to residents, and I'll just name a few. Dog licenses, marriage licenses, birth and death certificates, genealogical research, hunting and fishing permits, and so much more. Visit our town website to see all the ways the town clerk can serve you. Also, the Town Hall is the office of our town assessor, Christian Harkins. The assessor's office is responsible for maintaining our assessment rolls, which calculate the value of properties in town, which helps you determine your tax bill. The assessor is happy to meet with residents to discuss questions about their property assessments and assist in enrolling for tax exemptions, which you can save money. Next to the assessor's office are the planning, zoning, fire, and building offices. These offices process applications for building permits, site plans, zoning variances, and other functions related to code enforcement, and house our building inspector, Joel Petrus and Rich Travis, and our fire inspector, Steve Van Buren. These offices are utilized by our Town Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals, which are volunteer boards and made up dedicated citizens who care about our town. One of our most important offices, Town Hall, is our finance office, run by our town controller, Sharon Mitchell. Sharon oversees the day-to-day finances of the town, and our staff is responsible for the financial management of the town. This work involves processing our accounts, managing payroll for town employees, capital projects, and grant monitoring and financial reporting. Sharon plays a key role in preparing the annual town budget, and I cannot stress to you how important Sharon and her staff are to the financial well-being of the town. The last office space in Town Hall is the office for the Town Supervisor and Town Board. I have a proud, open-door policy, and if you have a question or concern, you're always invited to visit my office. Either myself or my assistant, Greg Totino, will be on hand to assist you. Our office has also designated space for town board members, and this is one of the things I'm personally proud of. Before I took office, our town board members were excluded from the day-to-day management of the town. They had no office space in Town Hall, no computer or telephone, and very little access to information. I believe in open government, and I want strong checks and balances, so one of my first directives was to create this office space, and I'm very pleased that our town board members use this space to handle town business. Having our town board members at Town Hall, seeing all the work that we do on a daily basis, gives them a better understanding of the work we do every day, and gives me an added level of accountability. I like hearing their ideas, and often their suggestions give me a new perspective or initiative, and that's what cooperation is all about. One of my favorite perks as town supervisor is I also serve as a town marriage officer. This means I can officiate wedding ceremonies. This is a service I do provide free of charge. Seeing the joy of the faces of the people saying I do is payment enough. So far, I've performed more than 30 weddings at Town Hall, some indoors, some outside, in our beautiful atrium that's tended to by the ladies of the Verplank Garden Club. If you're a Fishkill resident interested in getting married at Town Hall, call my office and we will set up an appointment for you. But the town of Fishkill doesn't end at Town Hall. Directly next door to the Town Hall is our police station, where the town of Fishkill Police Department is located. Our department is very unique in that it provides 24/7 service to the residents of Fishkill, but is staffed by part-time police officers. These dedicated men and women are led by our police chief, Keith Dworkin, who I appointed along with the town board in 2020. Chief Dworkin has overseen some great initiatives at the police department, including our growing community police unit, our Are You OK services, special needs assistance programs, and the town's participating in the Dutchess County Drug Task Force. Most importantly, Chief Dworkin shares my vision for accreditation, which will make our police department one of the premier agencies in New York State. The town took part in the New York State Police Reform. We have great discussions and adopted a plan to further our goal of running a police department where everyone is treated equally and fairly at all times, and everyone receives due process, both the public and our officers. Next to our police station is our Recreation and Senior Center. Our rec department is run by Jason Mayetta. Jay began working for the town as a camp counselor as a teenager, and now he oversees the entire department, delivering excellent programming for our seniors, children, and families. The Senior Center hosts countless events and weekly activities for seniors, organizations, special trips, and gives seniors access to community, entertainment, and special services. Our youth program, including the summer camp and after-school program, basketball program, and countless other activities at the recreation and other town parks. Speaking of parks, the town of Fishkill is home of several, and I am proud of the fantastic investment we are making into our town parks. Perhaps the most well-known town park is Gearin Park, located near the intersections of Route 52 and I-84. This park is home to sports fields, tennis and basketball courts, playgrounds, and a large pavilion where events are held. We also have Doug Phillips Park on Route 52 near the Arrowhead, which has Little League fields and is home to the Friendly Paws Dog Park, and is soon to be the home from some new and improved park space, including New Sensory Park, which is set to be completed in the summer. That project was led by council members Louise Daniele and Carmine Estevan. I applaud their work on this project to provide safe, inclusive play space for children with all abilities. Shepherd Memorial Park is located on the other side of the Arrowhead on Route 82 near Brickroff Elementary, and is our primary park for our Little League program, featuring 4 ball fields, a playground area, and a pavilion with a concession stand. The town has performed major improvements of this park in the last couple of years, with improvements to the fields and fences, and I hope to see lights installed in this park in the next year or so. We also have Dutchess Park Lake, which is located down the road from Shepherd Park, and it has a wonderful lake in it. Recently, the town undertook some beautification at Dutchess Park Lake, treating algae and setting up a fountain aerator to keep the lake looking beautiful. If you see swans there, you'll know that this was a successful effort. Another exciting park space that we have in the town is Gene Van Pelt Park. The park is located on Washington Avenue. It's about to get bigger. What do I mean by that? Well, as many of you know, the town worked with Dutchess County to secure a new bridge at Washington Avenue, and when this project is complete, the old bridge will be taken down and will open up space at Gene Van Pelt Park for the town to utilize, and I'm sure we'll find excellent ways to do so. We also have Camp Forester, where the town has been undertaking work to beautify this natural space and install a footbridge for walking, and we're going to be placing an aerator in that pond also. All of these park spaces are overseen by our hardworking Parks Director, Brandon Knapp. Brandon and his team has handled our town buildings and grounds. If you've been to one of our town parks and you see the beauty, you have Brandon and his crew to thank. Thank you. Well done, Brandon. Investing in our park spaces has been a huge priority for this administration. Doing so improves the recreational opportunity for families and children, and having functional, beautiful spaces goes a long way to foster community pride. For so many years, Fishkill had no real identity. We have changed that by investing in our town parks, our open space, and other initiatives that highlight our town. I'd like to briefly mention just 2. Last year, the town dedicated a statue to Chief Nimham. a native son of Fishkill, a tribal leader of the Wappinger people, and a Revolutionary War combat veteran who was killed in battle. This statue was a passion project of mine since taking office, and I thank the town board for their support in making this a reality. This statue helps to shine a spotlight on our incredible history, and I can't begin to tell you how many people have stopped me at town hall or around town to tell me how much they love the statue, which is very, very gratifying. Second, I'd like to talk about the banners that you've seen around town on Route 52. These are our hometown hero banners. Each banner is hung to honor a Fishkill resident who served our nation in uniform. Those banners honor the men and women who served in every major military theater since World War II and every branch of the military. Some residents got a banner for a deceased parent, some for a sibling or spouse, but all the families who see a loved one on the banners are touched and proud. As a veteran who has a banner this year, I can't say enough about the program, and I want to give special thanks to Councilmember Louise Daniele for spearheading this program, Councilman Carmine Estevan for his coordination, my assistant Greg for his work and all the photos veterans brought in, Sharon and Olympia from the finance office, banner printer Rory Bartels, and Lee's Tree Service for making this wonderful program possible. And of course, I salute all my brothers and sisters in arms who are honored with these banners. Lastly, we have our highway department. Highway operates out of the facility adjacent to Gearin Park. As I mentioned, our superintendent is Glenn Schofield, and his staff are responsible for maintaining the town roadways with paving, repairs, snow plowing, and other highway maintenance tasks. We're blessed to have a dedicated staff at Highway who are always on hand during snowstorms to clear the roads and during summer storms to clean up any mess. We built a new salt shed at the highway department. I know it doesn't sound glamorous, but it needed to be done. We also built a gas station for town vehicles at the same time. Next, we're building an additional highway garage for our trucks, and we're doing this in-house, saving us at least $500,000. Once done, we're going to be able to move space around in the town highway department. So what we're going to do is we're going to put big dumpsters in the highway department and let the citizens of Fishkill use them Monday through Friday during business hours, where you can bring stuff and leave them there in the dumpsters. And if that works out and not abused, we'll be doing that permanently. I know I've said it already, but it bears repeating. Thank you, Glenn Schofield, for your lifetime of dedication to our community. Others will succeed you, but no one can ever replace you. For the first time since 2009, the town has adopted an update to our comprehensive plan. This is a master document that spells out the town's vision for the future. We had a comprehensive committee that have more of a dozen residents, town employees, consultants, and officials. It was our first bipartisan comprehensive plan ever. I'd like to thank our town planner, Liz Axelson, who was the lead author, Drake Loeb, who provided legal counsel, town videographer Pete Skorowitz, who filmed the meetings, council members John Foreman and Brian Rye, who served as liaisons to this process. And I'd like to give credit to former council members Jackie Bardini and Kenya Gaston. And a special thanks to my secretary, Greg Tatino, who served as secretary and webmaster. The comprehensive plan reflects the priorities of the residents of the town of Fishkill. We sent out a survey with hundreds of responses. The residents' top priorities reflect my own agenda as town supervisor. The comprehensive plan and the survey touched on three main issues: overdevelopment, traffic, and water. One of the major concerns the residents of Fishkill have conveyed to me was overdevelopment. It strains our infrastructure, it increases traffic, puts our water in jeopardy, and crowds our schools. The number one case that I like to refer to is the Rolling Hills case, which was situated in the area of 9D, just north of the Beacon-Newburgh Bridge. One of the things that really bothered me about this Rolling Hills case was the fact that my predecessor wanted to sell town-owned land to the developer without a public vote. One of the first things we did after I passed term limits was to get the town board together to vote to make any town-owned land that was to be sold to go to a public vote and let the citizens of Fishkill vote on that. That has happened, so when any supervisor or town board in the future wishes to sell town-owned land, the residents of Fishkill will have that final determination whether land should be sold or not. This is a dramatic shift in the balance of power where your town board used to work for the developers, and now we've taken it to give it to give you veto power in these type of cases. The town board, under my direction, also closed loopholes and strengthened our zoning provisions under Section 150 of our zoning laws. We made it more difficult for the developers to take advantage of the citizens of the town of Fishkill. And, more importantly, we've cut provisions to allow not-for-profits to come into the town of Fishkill and use the zoning laws to their advantage. As you all know, a few years ago, a not-for-profit on the 9D corridor took $50 million off the tax rolls, which amounts to about 2% of our value. And that burden went to our taxpayers. That's not going to happen anymore. It's very important to understand that it was just a minor provision, a minor change of the law. These are the little tweaks that we've done in Chapter 150 to protect you, the citizens of Fishkill. Another issue that we talked about and discussed at our town board meetings was the protection of our water and our aquifer. So under Chapter 146 regarding water, we passed an Aquifer Protection Act. And on top of that, the state was impressed of how we were operating with this. They allowed us to get into a program which calls the DWSB2 program, which the state of New York came down and they reviewed our aquifer, our well fields, and gave us a bunch of ideas to improve our water sources. And that's precisely what we're going to be doing, and I look forward to implementing that next year. One of the most important things that the town has done under my leadership was change the way our public hearings and our meetings were set at Town Hall. We increased notification requirements for the town board. As you know, I've attended over 400 town board meetings before I became the town supervisor, and the process was very limited in participation. Your public comment period was at the end of the meeting, so if you came in at 7 o'clock at night, you wouldn't have the opportunity to speak to around maybe 9 o'clock at night. We changed the agenda to have privilege of the floor for town items right at the beginning of the meeting. So if the meeting starts at 7 o'clock, you were able to talk about any issue regarding the town around 7:10. We also extended it toward the end of the meeting to allow the citizens who come to the meetings to ask questions about the agenda. In addition to that, the town eliminated the 3-minute gag rule for public comments. If you watch our town board meetings today, there is no time limit. You can speak as long as you want, as long as it's relevant, and that process has even bled into the planning board, where the planning board now allows public comment for the citizens when a project is about to begin for the first time in the history of the town of Fishkill. Another concern that the residents of Fishkill have had over the past few years was abandoned properties and distressed properties. We have addressed those for the first time in Fishkill history. This town board is the first town board to actually enforce the law. We had 5 properties that were addressed. 2 were knocked down, 3 came into compliance and were saved, including a nice historical house. And these properties are no longer derelict in the town of Fishkill. One of these abandoned properties was a CubeSmart property at the intersection of Route 82 and 52. That issue is being addressed as we speak. There is a new developer before the planning board right now, and we should have that property built within a 6-month period. Another huge concern for the citizens of Fishkill, of course, has been traffic. I hear it all the time from the residents of Fishkill. So we've kept the situation from getting worse, and we've been working to improve your traffic situation. I already mentioned the new Washington Avenue Bridge, which is an excellent benefit to the residents, but we are not stopping there. The second concern of the residents is the 9D corridor with the overpass of 84 by the Beacon Newburgh Bridge. And I've been working with Dutchess County in New York State. What the situation is going to be is going to be extra turn lanes everywhere, going eastbound onto the bridge. And there is also talk about making a northbound ramp right before that interchange. I think that's going to be a great solution to the problem, and I'm looking forward to getting that done. While the residents of Fishkill understand that overdevelopment and traffic is a huge concern, my biggest concern is our water. Our water is our number one resource. We've been blessed to have a good water source, and we need to protect it. There is a finite amount of water supply, and the town is approaching its limit for responsible usage. While the town generally has good water infrastructure, but it has to deal with issues occasionally. Our common issues include faults from our water systems installed by developers to the benefit of the developer, which the town took over and now the taxpayers pay for. We have issues with the Brickerhoff Water District. Years ago, the developer walked away from it. The town is not doing any favors for the developers anymore. We hold developers accountable for the water and sewer they install. And recently we took a $350,000 settlement from Toll Brothers before we took over their water and sewer systems. Prior to my being elected in office, the residents in that district on Merritt Boulevard were very concerned that they were going to have to pay this water bill. I was not going to let that happen. The residents should not have to pay for what the developers used. And Toll Brothers paid the settlement, and not only did they pay the settlement, they repaired 2 sewer lines, one which they paid for and one which they reimbursed the homeowners association. The responsible things that we did was use ARPA money from the federal government to cover the cost of our projects. We purchased generators for booster stations in Beacon Hills. What was happening in Beacon Hills was that when the power went out, they lost water. That's not going to happen anymore. Town is working on remediation of well issues for the Brickerhoff and Snook well fields. For those who don't know, since 2007, the Snook well field, which is located on Route 9 and 84, has been under Dutchess County Health Department remedial action. Late last year, we were able to get that off the remedial action list after almost a 15-year period. I'm proud that the town board was able to accomplish that and comply with the health department orders. This overall project cost about $50,000, and what it took was some water calculations and bigger mixers as we blend some water with the village of Fishkill to keep our chlorides levels low in that district. The town board is also working on a connection between Brickerhoff and Merritt Park districts for emergency backup and storage. What's important about this is that my predecessor left me with a $5.7 million plan to do this. I reviewed it and I found $5.7 million was too much and unnecessary. Right now we have this in front of our engineers, CPL Engineering, and I'm trying to get this done for about $1.1 million, also using ARPA money with no cost to the residents of Fishkill. As I touched on earlier, the biggest thing is to protect our water resources. One of the first things the town board did in 2021 was pass an aquifer protection plan. We got involved with the Drinking Water Source Protection Plan of 2022. It was a New York State program. It was free to participate, but we received over $140,000 in free engineering services from the state. Myself, Councilman Estevan, and my secretary, Greg Tatino, were heavily involved in this project, and the plan will protect our water resources. We have high levels of chlorine in the water from road salt. We're going to identify the risk and potential contaminate sources, and we're going to develop solutions to reduce the salt levels on roads to bring these chloride levels down. I want to talk to you about our town finances. The town of Fishkill is in fantastic financial condition. In fact, last year we received a Moody's credit rating increase, and the town of Fishkill is the strongest municipality in all of Dutchess County. This comes down to being responsible with our tax dollars. I've taken the responsibility very seriously in my office. I do not take any health benefits from the town, which saves tax dollars. Additionally, my assistant, Greg, has saved the residents nearly $500,000. When I took office, there were 2 budgeted full-time positions for staff in my office, one for secretary and one for communications. Each of these include a salary and health benefits. Greg willingly and superbly assumed the job responsibilities of both jobs while taking only one salary, saving the residents more than $100,000 per year in salary and benefits. Greg, I thank you for your excellent work, wearing 2 different hats, and I know the residents of Fishkill want to thank you as well. I'm also committed about being honest about your taxes. I made a pledge to always tell you the truth about your assessments. Let me repeat that pledge for you now. I will never use increased assessed values to generate additional tax revenue. And I will never lie to you. I won't tell you that I cut your taxes if your tax bill isn't going down. As assessed values increase, the tax rate decreases. That's how the math works out. A lot of politicians would tell you that you're getting a tax cut because the tax rate went down, but it isn't a tax cut. In my time in office, I have kept a conservative budget, and your tax bills have been relatively flat, increasing about $10 to $30 for most taxpayers during this period. You deserve a town that deals honestly when it comes to your tax dollars, and that's what I've done. But there's something I would like to touch on, and that's our budget. Last year, our council members expressed a desire to be part of the process, and I welcome that collaborative approach. Board members sat in on budget meetings, made suggestions about funding, and asked for certain items to be placed in the budget. I then assembled all their ideas and presented them in a budget for the town board to review as a whole and make adjustments until everyone was satisfied. The entire board voted 5-0 to accept my initial budget, and then began making the process of making cuts. I was fine with almost every change, but there was one change I was not okay with. $105,000 of money earmarked for our police department was removed from the budget after it was introduced. I'm not okay with that. In 2020, I was proud to be the first elected official in Dutchess County to promise never to defund the police. That is a promise I take seriously, and with our PBA contract expiring this year, we need to have the funds necessary to negotiate a new contract. Unfortunately, the board voted to remove those funds, and I chose to vote against the budget. I stand by that decision. Earlier this year, I also voted against a $1.7 million bond issue. This was set to fund projects which weren't included in the 2023 budget we already adopted. I believe the town financial decision should have a public input. For instance, our annual budget goes through the public hearing where we listen to the citizens' opinion on our budget. The bond issue was in an amount of $1.7 million and was adopted by a simple resolution, no public hearing, no notification, no nothing. I wasn't okay with that either, so I voted against it, but it passed. Sadly, this means that you, now the taxpayer, will pay interest on money borrowed. Residential development is also strong in the town of Fishkill. In the next 5 years, we have about 200 residential units coming to the town of Fishkill, with another 100 apartments maybe coming up by town hall. All of this is prescribed as the town law in its current zoning. We will not be given any zoning variances for these developers to put up more homes per acre. There are no more favors or zoning changes for these developers. We are simply enforcing our zoning laws that are already on the books. Now, we do have issues such as home and rental cost sustainability. Good home and property values are a good thing, but the increases in rent and home costs have to be sustainable. We need to look to find ways to encourage growth but keep Fishkill affordable to live here. Let's just look at the gentrification of the city of Beacon. We can't let what happened to the city of Beacon happen to the town of Fishkill. And we need to keep our children, our seniors in the town of Fishkill. Getting rid of empty storefronts and filling vacancies have been a priority of mine. At the Hudson Valley Town Center alone, nearly 20,000 square feet of new businesses is filling vacant storefronts since I've taken office, even during the pandemic. I've cut the tax rate for businesses to encourage business growth and new business in the town. We got the Duchess Mall redevelopment going on for a possibility of a 350,000 square foot warehouse. A dental implant manufacturing facility will be going into the old M&T Bank on the area of Route 52 near the town line, creating probably between 75 to 150 jobs with an average salary around $75,000 a year. On the 9T quarter alone, we have 90,000 square feet of new commercial development coming just south of the Duchess Stadium. On Route 9, near the Putnam border, we probably have about another 40,000 square feet of commercial space coming. I oppose any new tax on businesses. I'm working with a developer on waterfront development right on the Hudson River. This is going to be a beautiful asset to the town of Fishkill. It's going to include about 100 luxury apartments or condos, and half of the property is going to be dedicated to the town so we can create a town park with a marina and water access for the residents of the town of Fishkill. I'm looking very forward to getting that done. The town has made great progress over the few years, but that progress has not come without a fight. These big city developers and lawyers use dirty tactics in the town of Fishkill. They've sued residents, our planning board members, to get what they want. They hurt your families. They hurt my family. They hurt everyone in the town of Fishkill. For years, one of the main reasons developers got what they wanted was they threatened to sue. When legal action and threats are a weapon for developers, lawsuits are the cost of doing business if you want to protect your citizens over the developers. I'm proud of my record defending the citizens in court. Anyone who brags about not getting sued is bragging that never stood up to a developer ever. Before I took office, the average insurance and litigation claimed was $400,000 a year. Since I became supervisor, we've dropped that to less than $100,000 a year per our insurance carrier and our town controller, while protecting you from the developers. Now, how did we accomplish all of this? Really important is that we stayed open during COVID. We continued giving services to the citizens of the town of Fishkill, and we did it in a safe way. We glassed in town hall to protect the residents and the workers. We took temperatures, and we kept commerce going in the town of Fishkill. It's important to remember that we're financially strong because we kept town hall open. I'd like to thank Greg, my assistant, for writing our pandemic response plan. I'm accessible. You can see me in the lobby almost every day. I come around just to talk to people. When you pay your property tax, when you pay your school tax, when you pay your water bill, when you come in for your assessments, I'm out there to hear from you, whether it's good or bad, and I'm proud to be able to do that. The board members are now allowed to talk to department heads. They're allowed to talk to the town attorney. And the reason is I need to know what I'm doing as a checks and balances amongst myself. And it's good to know that another board member can say, hey, supervisor, I know where you're going with this, but let's go this way. And 9 out of 10 times it works. So the more our government is working together, it's better for you because it helps us build a better Fishkill. We put our residents first. We focus on our quality of life, no longer the developers. Instead of spending money on the resources to help the developers make more money, we're now taking those resources and putting them into our parks, recreation, and our historical preservation to benefit the residents of the town of Fishkill. Very, very simple. The most important thing is to thank the people that helped me get this all done. That would be the town employees, my town boards, our committees, our consultants, our engineer CPL, and our planner Liz Axelson, our town attorney Steve Gabler of Drake Loeb, our planning attorney Dominic Cordisco of Drake Loeb, our zoning attorney David McCartney of Ferrick, Nugent, and McCartney, members of the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, our town officials past and present. But the biggest thank and credit goes to you, the residents of the town of Fishkill, who gave me this great honor of serving as your town supervisor to allow me to take my vision of Fishkill from the developers running the town to the residents running the town to promote our quality of life. I thank you very much. What would the state of the town be if I wasn't supervisor? It would be a town of the developers, by the developers, for the developers still. We'd be looking at close to 1,200 new residential units coming into the town of Fishkill. Your water quality issues would be paid for by you, the residents of Fishkill, at a cost between $6 and $10 million to accommodate the developers. You would have crowded schools. You would have another school being built at a cost of between $20 and $25 million that you, the residents of Fishkill, would be paying. Commercial spaces most likely would still be abandoned and decrepit. There'd be a lack of community identity. There'd be a lower quality of life for you. I am happy to report to you that the state of the town of Fishkill is the best that it's ever been. Most people are happy, but there are a few residents say, okay, what's next? What's next for Fishkill? The biggest threat that we face are the developers who want to come back to the town and take over the town again. I will always protect the citizens from nefarious developers and their big city lawyers. We need to prepare to work with the state for the connection between the Roundabout and Dutchess Park sewer lines to improve your utilities. Our waterfront development for the first time in Fishkill history. One of my favorite is America 250, or as I like to say, Fishkill 250, the 250th anniversary of the town of Fishkill and the United States of America from the reading of the Declaration of Independence. Our goal for Fishkill is to be among the more prominent observances nationwide. We are going to implement the provisions of the comprehensive plan. We're going to do aquifer protection. We're going to continue with the state on our DWSP2 program, which secures our water sources, and we're going to continue our historical preservation. The progress we made so far will count for nothing if we don't enforce it. We will continue to invest in town spaces, increase community identity to boost pride, and improve our quality of life. All the stuff that we've done, our history, our parks, our identity, is to give you community pride to say, I'm happy to live in Fishkill. This is why we're doing this. But these are just my ideas. While I speak to residents at town hall, through emails, I want to hear what you have to say. So beginning shortly, maybe in early June, I'm going to begin a listening tour where personally, myself, I'm going to come and knock on your door, and I want to hear what your concerns are. What I think is a good idea might not be a good idea to you, and you might have a better idea. So in a few weeks, you're going to be seeing me come to your neighborhood. I'm going to stop in and say hello, and I want to hear from you, the residents of the town of Fishkill, how we can make Fishkill even better. I thank you for watching tonight, and God bless you all, and God bless the citizens of the town of Fishkill. Good night.